Hello and welcome to the ZED world. People often have asked over these 10 or 12 years as to why we do what we do. Back in the middle of 1994, when I came back to Bangalore after some years of work on energy and watershed management practices, as to why on earth you will want to create a residential enclave which will reduce, if not eliminate, dependence on civic infrastructure for water, for energy, or for waste. Now, one of the things that we told ourselves at that point in time, and we continue to believe to this day, is that every citizen in a city causes or contributes to the nightmare of growth and all the attendant risks of management of energy, or water, or waste. We have believed that the one thing that we need to do is to see that we make every effort to decentralize this process. For example, how can we now tell ourselves that we will not seek a connection with the water supply board and yet find solutions for our water needs? Well, if that's not possible, what can we do to see that we reduce our freshwater demand from such a grid as the water supply board represents? I could have taken the example of energy, for instance. How can I now ensure that if I have got a contract demand load of, let us say, 6 kilowatts in my house, can I make that 3 kilowatts and ensure that I'm able to manage things in a way that I don't use the geyser in the peak load hours and use it only in the non-peak load hours of, let's say, 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. or 10 a.m. and say 5 p.m. when the grid demand is not so high. Well, there are many other solutions on such decentralizing or federalizing in a way that we do not add to the burden of challenges that the energy generator or the water supply agency has to deal with. The other that we have believed in is that everything that we buy or use has to be such that we have reduced the embodied energy of that material. Take the furniture that I am sitting upon, or take the glass of water on the table. Take the bricks that this house is or this building is made of. Take the wood that we use from natural forests. What can we do to ensure that the ancient sun energy that each of these materials represent is reduced in our lifestyles? What is the example that I can offer you? Look at bricks. It claims about 400 degrees centigrade as manufacturing energy, and the brick kiln actually brings, legally or otherwise, fuel wood from residual forests around cities. They use topsoil, which takes 1200 years for even 1 inch to naturally form, geologically speaking, that is. So how can I avoid the use of bricks? How can I avoid the use of concrete blocks, for instance, which uses cement? Cement is just limestone, and limestone again is ancient sun's energy built over 20,000 to 30,000 years, sometimes 300 to 400,000 years. You have to remember that the Western Ghats is about 450 million years old. You have to remember that the Eastern Ghats is about 700 million years old. And then look at that baby called the Himalaya, which is no more than 20 million years old. And in our context of 70 years of life, it becomes very difficult for us to understand what these ancient energies mean. And so what do? We bore wells at 20,000 feet, at 2,000 meters sometimes, and take away water that has been created over 20 to 30,000 years. Our living needs for life sustenance no more than 3,000 calories that comes from our foods, which again is from the current sun. But what we do is to see that we are claiming the rest of about 200,000 calories per capita for people like you and I as urban citizens, which is coming from coal or oil or gas. Think about that, and think about how you can get responsible to an extent without having to compromise on your comfort, without having to look too hard to find the right buyers or right suppliers and vendors, as to how you can look for things that do not claim such fossil energies in high orders. Take the foods that we eat. Rice, for instance, needs about, for that 1 kg of rice that sits on your table or that you buy off the mall, it needs 4,000 to 4,200 liters of water. 1 ton of water is 1,000 liters. Wheat takes about the same, about 4 tons of water. Sugarcane, for every kg, takes 13 tons of water, or 13,000 liters. Take the millets that our farmers eat. 70% of our population is in our villages. Like Gandhiji said, India or Bharat has always lain in the hearts of our villagers. There, they eat millets which take 1/2 the quantum of water that cereals like rice and wheat take. Ragi, jowar, bajra take no more than 2 tons of water per kg that is produced. So how do we do something about ensuring that we change staples to water efficient foods? I could have said that about broccoli, for instance, which is like your full gobi. China exports 70% of its broccoli to the United States, and China realized about 4 years ago that they are actually not exporting broccoli. What they're exporting is water, because broccoli is very high on its water need. These are challenges that will come up in the next maybe 5 years to 10 years when people get sensitized to these needs of the future on water. Now, we have believed in BCIL that we should do all we can to reduce the use of such ancient energies and switch to the extent possible to current energy forms. You must remember that there is another grim reality of the future. Cities will double in population between now and the next 20 years to 2030. And that will mean no water sources to meet the kind of demand that we will all be generating. Your children will be generating. This will also mean that the fight for energy will lead us to think that, deceptively, to think that nuclear energy can be a solution. These are not solutions. Please remember that generating more and eking more out of the planet is no way into this future. You have to see how sensibly, with professional management, we are able to bring in demand side cleverness and intelligence to see that our lifestyles are protected while we are able to ease on these demand situations. More the next time.